22 and 27.
Oh, okay.
So the subcompact 40 and then the full size 40.
Oh, so they're 40, yeah, mine's a 9mm, I think, yeah.
So, which is a great round, beautiful round. I love the 9. That's my favorite round of them all.
How often do you have to clean those?
If you're not, I say anytime you shoot. If you're not shooting, I think depending on where and how you store them, at least every 6 months maybe.
Okay.
But I did it.
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
It is 6 o'clock. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the reminder to turn your microphones on and turn your cell phones off. We'll have roll call.
Mayor Schomburger,
Here.
Councilors Anderson,
Here.
Bain,
Here?
Baker,
Here.
Becker,
Here.
and Dykes.
Here.
Everyone has a copy of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 25th. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, they stand approved as submitted. I don't see any visitors and delegations. And management, the second and final reading of ordinance 846. Is there a motion to adopt on second and final reading and published by title only?
I'll make a motion that we second and adopt the final reading of ordinance 846-16, parental responsibility in Brush Municipal Court.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion and second. Discussion. We'll move right on to the roll call vote.
Mayor Schomburger,
Yes.
Councilor Anderson,
No.
Councilor Bain,
Yes.
Councilor Baker,
Yes.
Councilor Becker,
Yes.
and Councilor Dykes.
Yes.
Number B, proclamation number 2016-2, proclaiming May 15th to 21st as National Police Week in Brush, Colorado. Is there a motion for that proclamation?
I'll make a motion that we adopt proclamation number 2016-2, proclaiming May 15th through the 21st, 2016 as National Police Week in Brush, Colorado.
Second?
Discussion and roll call vote.
Councilor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilor Bain,
Yes.
Councilor Baker,
Yes.
Councilor Becker,
Yes.
Councilor Dykes.
Yes.
And that proclamation reads, Proclamation number 2016-2, in recognition of National Police Week, May 15th through May 21st, 2016. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including 9 sworn members of the Brush Police Department. Whereas some 60,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 16,000 injuries. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, which was dedicated in 1991 in Washington, D.C. Whereas May 15th is designated as Police Officers Memorial Day with federal law PL 103-322, directing that all flags be flown at half-staff on that date in honor of fallen officers and their families. Therefore, be it resolved that the Brush City Council formally declares May 15th through 21st, 2016 as National Police Week in the city of Brush, Colorado, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Given under my hand and seal of the city of Brush, 9th day of May, Chuck Schoenberger. And it's very apt proclamation. You guys are awesome. So, thank you. Moving on to number C, proclamation number 2016-3, Public Works Week. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve proclamation number 2016-3, proclaiming May 15th through the 21st as Public Works Week in Brush, Colorado.
Second. Discussion? Roll call vote.
Oops, sorry. Counselor Baker,
Yes.
Counselor Bain,
Yes.
Counselor Becker,
Yes.
Counselor Dykes,
Yes.
Mayor Schomberger,
Yes.
Counselor Anderson.
Yes.
Reading this one, proclamation number 2016-3 in recognition of National Public Works Week. Whereas public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are of vital importance to the health, safety, and well-being of the people of this community, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewer, stormwater management, streets and highways, public buildings and grounds, parks, solid waste collection, and waste processing. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of public works personnel, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments and offices is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform, and whereas this year's theme, Public Works Always There, speaks to the never-ending diversity public works professionals bring to their communities the highest possible quality of life. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Brush formally designates May 15th through 21st, 2016 as National Public Works Week. Given under my hand and seal of the City of Brush, 9th day of May, Chuck Schoenberger. All right. Moving on to number E. Letter to Governor Hickenlooper to veto HB 13-9.
That's me.
That's you.
We got a request from the Municipal League the other day. The email is in your packet to write a letter to the governor and request that he veto House Bill 16-1309. This is a bill that sets up requirements, expanded requirements for court-appointed attorneys in municipal court cases. I've talked to Judge Jones about it. Last time was just this afternoon. He sent me a rather long email that was addressed to Monty. He says this has little impact on the city, but we do have violations that carry potential jail time in our code. And so that would mean that we would have to set up a court-appointed counsel system. We do not have one at this point. And that's going to involve some expense. That's going to involve some additional administrative chores to solicit defense attorneys in the county who would be willing to do that for the city court. And it's going to create some problems for us that we've not had to deal with in the past. I'm hearing that even though CML is opposing this legislation, that the likelihood of its being vetoed is probably low, but nevertheless, it's my suggestion that we get our letter into the governor in opposition to his approving this legislation.
All right. Other discussion? Well, let's start off and have a motion first, and then we will get into discussion. So, is there a motion to veto the letter to Governor Hickenlooper?
I'll make a motion that we approve the letter to, that we
Yeah.
approve the letter to Governor Hickenlooper about vetoing the, what's the number?
1309.
1309.
Second?
Second.
Motion second. Now, further discussion.
Oh, so, I think we've talked about this a couple of other times. Anybody who might run the risk of having a jail sentence should have the right to counsel.
True.
They
And
can.
they do have the right to counsel.
If they can afford it.
Correct.
But we're talking about court-appointed counsel.
Correct.
But it's also an unfunded mandate on municipalities. That's why I am not in favor of it. It's unfunded
Yeah.
entirely. The city would have to pick up the entire cost.
And if I heard correctly earlier that if somebody doesn't like their sentence at the municipal court, all they do is appeal it, and it automatically goes from here to the county court where they are set up with that, where they have the mechanism in place for defense attorneys and everything else?
They do, the
So-
public defender system works there.
Right.
But the public defender system does not cover municipal court violations.
Even if it's
If it's
appealed?
unappealed.
Right, and very few people do that. If they didn't have the money in the
Yeah.
first place, because of the fine system, the way I understand the appeal is that the fine has to be put up double the amount. And so people, it's prohibitive anyway to appeal. And I don't know how many appeals that we see come through here, but
Very few.
that's what I thought.
I think there were 2 last year.
Well, I think, in the Constitution of this country, you just don't jail people without the right to an attorney.
And
if
they
we
have
have to
the
pay
right
for
to
it-
attorney. The question is whether or not this legislation is appropriate to impose upon municipal courts these additional expenses.
The alternative is that maybe we could look at the ordinances where there's jail time and
We could eliminate that, that's correct.
as a sentence and get rid of those and
Some
move those on to county
municipalities have
court.
done that. They only rely on fines. And I think that there are so few cases, if any, in our court where there really is a jail sentence imposed, that this will have, little impact on the.
Do you
the
know
system.
how often we have, from municipal court, sentenced somebody to jail?
No, I can't tell you that number.
All right.
It's very seldom.
I think even if there's a warrant or somebody skips out on a warrant or they miss their jail time, there can be a jail sentence or jail time.
Well, if they're,
Consent order?
I'm not understanding your question. Is it that if they're sentenced to jail
No.
and then don't appear? No?
I'm just saying if they don't appear for a court date, they can be sentenced to a contempt order. can
No,
be
they
sentenced
can,
on a
if they
contempt
don't
order.
appear, there can be a warrant for their arrest on the first appearance.
And do those carry jail sentences as well? Oh,
Well, they are arrested on the warrant. Most of the time, it's a traffic case, and the ones that we do don't carry jail time.
I see. Well,
There's companion legislation to this, which has not gotten to the governor yet, that is going to make it essentially impossible for municipal courts, not just little ones like Brush, but the big ones like Aurora, to collect fines. Because you can't put out a warrant for the arrest of somebody if they fail to show up for a hearing on which they've had notice to determine whether they have the ability to pay the fine. If they don't show up, no warrant, so at that point, they can walk.
That's not a good way to hold people accountable.
No,
That sounds similar to where if a juvenile doesn't show up for court, what do we do?
Any further discussion? We ready to vote? Roll call vote.
Counselor Becker,
Yes.
Counselor Dykes,
yes,
Mayor Schomburger,
Yes.
Counselor Anderson,
no,
Counselor Bain,
Yes.
Counselor Baker.
yes.
Finance. Who from Finance Committee would like to make a motion?
I have to get to the page.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll. I think it's,
Totaling $645,175.
yeah, $645,175.23.
Second,
Motion and a second. Discussion? And again, a roll call vote.
Counselor Dykes,
Yes.
Mayor Schomburger,
Yes.
Counselor Anderson,
yes.
Counselor Bain,
Yes.
Counselor Baker,
Yes.
Counselor Becker.
Yes.
Staff reports. It's a long list out there. The police, Corey Hardy. Yeah.
Not too much. On April 30th, we did the National Drug Take Back. We done that at Equitable Savings, and throughout in the 4-hour span we were there, we collected 168 pounds of pharmaceuticals. I don't remember, and I don't have access to last year's numbers, but I think we're just about double what we were in previous years. I think we've kind of averaged between the 60 and 80 pounds. We didn't have a lot of people show up, so it looked like they were kind of maybe, folks were carrying it in for them. Either way, that's really successful to get that much mini narcotics to where they can be disposed of properly. And additionally, right now, we're doing some training with DA's office and, DA's office, Department of Human Services, and Centennial Mental Health. It's regarding VRA crimes, updates for that, and pretty much workshops with Human Services and with Centennial Mental Health. And what that does is allow the officers, it kind of allows us all to understand everybody's responsibilities. They tend to be groups that, even though we have to work together, they're wheels that don't always run so smooth. And by understanding how they have to work, it helps us work with them. We had that today. We'll have it again tomorrow at the JC building. And tomorrow, there's other agencies that are attending along with us: Morgan County Sheriff's Office, Fort Morgan PD, Wiggins PD. And I believe we may have some folks from Washington County there tomorrow, but we'll be all finished up with that by tomorrow. Good.
Thank you. City Clerk, Andrea.
Okay, I just need to turn in an RSVP for the City of Sterling is hosting the District 1 Spring Meeting. That's going to be held on Wednesday, May 25th. So if you'll all call me tomorrow and let me know if you can go to that, I'd appreciate it. And Karen asked me to provide the zoning basics to all of council to read to kind of prepare you for some of the zoning decisions that are forthcoming. And are you going to talk about the reception? Lonnie? Or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Next week, we'll be calling you all because we're still trying to schedule a reception that we're going to have in honor of National Police Week and Public Works Week. So we're going to honor those folks, and we're still trying to work out dates. So we'll call you all when we have it. That's it.
All right. Thank you. City Administrator.
Okay, a few updates for the council. The first one is on our downtown project. This is our phase 4 of the downtown revitalization. Everyone's probably seen the large pond being excavated out. One of the issues is we keep getting rain, and so that slows down that process, but they're about 70–75% complete at this point. This last rainstorm did two things. It made the pond wet, but also where we're stockpiling the dirt, that's soaking wet, so it's a mud pit, so they can't get out there to drop off any of the dirt that they need to excavate. So they're gonna put a hold on that temporarily, and they do wanna start putting some of the stormwater pipe, in along Edmund Street. And so that's gonna be coming a little bit earlier than planned. However, they still say that as far as the Edmund Street section, the 300 and 400 block of Edmund Street, that they're gonna tear up the whole street and replace. That piece of it, they still don't project that to be out till after the 4th of July. And so Dell and I talk about it in the sense that, there's a schedule, but then there's the weather schedule that sometimes you gotta move things around. But our goal is, before we want about a month notice to the downtown businesses before we start doing anything with Edmund Street in the downtown area. The other residential streets, we just have to, find parking for most of those residences, and that should be pretty easy, or they have other accesses to their property. But the downtown area is a little trickier. The one bit of good news is that Clayton Street going through, that crosses Edmonds, that's already been done in the past, so at least Clayton Street stays open throughout the construction. So that'll help out a lot. It's just gonna be right there by Equitable, that block, and then right there in front of Bank of Colorado, that's gonna be some parking issues and things that need to work around. So that project's moving forward pretty well. Also, the new water rate structure that was implemented this last month, the bills have went out, and we have received a few calls, not too many, but some of that's due to Joanne and the front office staff. They've set up meetings with some of the commercial users that are bigger users and are gonna see larger changes in their bills. Did some outreach, and then had them come in to explain how the rate structure works. And I think there's between a dozen, maybe up to 20 businesses that we had come in, and just a handful of residential calls on that. Other thing is streets around the community, you might see a lot of the cracks and everything in some of the streets, some of the potholes. Our crews are chasing those, but we're also working on the dirt going out to the new baseball field, and they're a little scattered out right now because a lot of projects going on. But it still is the intent to get back out there and get some of the crack filling done, and later this summer, do some of our chip sealing, slurry sealing, and oiling of the streets. So just be aware, you may hear some comments about that. The spring cleanup went very well. We had a lot of tree branches that were chipped and were delivered over to City Hall, and we had those all chipped, and a few places we had to go to. But that was the first week. The second week, a lot of debris was put out to the curb. You probably saw that around your houses. And I was asked earlier how many old television sets did we have, and they're counting them as they palletize them, and they're up to about 60 old television sets that are being disposed of. And there'll still be more to that. They just haven't counted the rest of them yet. So I imagine we'll probably end up being closer to 100 old television sets that were put to the curbside. And that should be about it from the city administrator.
Monty, question, with the rain event that we had on Saturday on Emerson Street there, where we did the work on the storm drains, because that was a pretty significant rain. Did we have to dispatch anybody to those storm drains at all? Or do you
No,
know?
I went out there just out of curiosity,
Did you
right
look?
during the middle of it, and then towards the tail end, because sometimes it takes a while for the water
Yeah.
to get down there. And all of them were totally passable. Right there on Cambridge, it was starting to come up a little bit, but you still drive through it.
Okay.
But then,
So we didn't have to block Cambridge off or anything?
not to my
'Cause-
knowledge, I didn't, while I was out, nothing was blocked off.
Yeah, it didn't look,
And so-
it was raining pretty hard, and I went out too to
Mhm.
kind of gaze up there, but it was blowing so hard I didn't go all the way up there. But it looked like it was handling it much
Yeah,
better than.
it is better, and then a lot of it's due to their design not to plug up, so the old grates
Right.
would plug up, and then once the system's behind, it's hard to
Yeah,
catch
to
up.
catch up,
But it seems to be working a lot better.
okay.
Mayor and council, any reports? Anybody?
I have a couple things. One, I've had a couple people call regarding odor that they think's the bison plant. And I talked to Monty on one day, but, in general, what is the chain of command? Who should people call? The front desk at the city or
Yeah,
where?
I would call the front desk at the city, and that way we can just document it that, we do have calls coming in. The day that you contacted me, I checked with the front desk, and we hadn't had a single call in. So that would help us determine if there's an issue or not. And then that information goes to Dale Colrick, and then we contact the Bison facility if there's an issue or not.
Okay. And I was asked, status of the fire department, cause we were talking about it pretty heavily and they haven't heard nothing for a while, so.
Oh, we had a meeting, wish I could tell you the date, with the fire department. We've met with the fire department and within like last couple weeks, I think it is. And, we were gathering information to start the discussions of a lease agreement for renting the building from the rural fire district from the city. And also to have the discussions of where we go now, since we didn't apply for the grant and we don't have a commitment from the rural fire board. And, City Attorney Chapin, sent me, I think it was late last week, a copy of an agreement we can start with. So the intent now is to get back with the fire chief and bring in the rural fire board, representatives and start talking about that piece of it. Because if we're not gonna build a new building, we need to really start talking about the lease agreement for renting the space, because it's been, a very, very low, annual rental rate for the last 20, 30 years, and so we have to have some discussion somewhere to start moving forward. And so we're not giving up on the concept of replacing the bays, that part of the building. However, we need to take some steps in the interim to get the process moving forward.
Okay.
Was there any report from the council outreach on May 2nd?
We had no visitors.
That's what I'd heard. Yep. And I noticed new tables out here.
Yes,
Yes. The last, yeah,
long tables.
long tables, flat tables. The last thing I have is a commendation for Police Lieutenant Corey Hardy. He has been awesome with this, so we have written a letter to give to Lieutenant Hardy. It states, "I am writing this letter to recognize and commend you for an outstanding job as interim chief of police for the last 4 months, February through May. Much of the success of the smooth transition within the police department can be credited to your strong leadership, adaptability, professionalism, and relations with the staff. You demonstrated the ability to quickly adapt to the circumstances, and you were prepared to step into the lead commanding role of the department without disruption noticed by the community or staff. Through this period of change, you have motivated and encouraged your team along a positive and hopeful direction toward growth. You presented and, in many cases, implemented several forward-thinking strategies which have had positive impact on operations and the culture of the department. You have demonstrated strong communication within your department, with other agencies, with the public, and with management of the city. You have made tremendous contributions to the organization, department, and public through your accomplishments during this brief period, and it is important for you to know how much your efforts are appreciated. Thank you for eagerly accepting the challenge of stepping in as our interim chief of police, and I am pleased to congratulate you on an exemplary job and outstanding example you set for others. Sincerely.
Yes,
Lieutenant
yes.
Hardy." Thank you.
Can give him that copy if you want.
Oh, so this stays with you?
Or does he get this one?
Give him the original.
Give him this one. He needs the good one.
I appreciate the recognition, but things would not have went nearly that smooth if I didn't have the professionals I have back there. And they're just a wonderful group, so.
I'll get a nice proper photos here. Thank you, guys. Perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Is there anything else? A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? We're adjourned.
I've just got a very short work session.